forgotten to share how many miles we've gone since we started this journey, which was in July. So how many miles have we gone? You tracked it.
2. It was like 15,000 miles from the time we left. It was really from when we left Iuka to Yuma.
Jilly from Philly.
15,000
from Yuma.
So that was July until now.
It was June. So I tracked when we went to Memphis.
Okay.
That's in there. So, but I mean, okay, so say we take that out, whatever. We'll call it 14,000. It's been a lot.
14,000 miles from July until the end of October when we got here in Yuma, Arizona. And so we went to a lot of different places, which you've seen a lot of the videos that we've compiled. We went from Atlanta to Georgia.
Atlanta's in Georgia.
I'm sorry, to Brunswick, Georgia, further on the East Coast. And then we went to Gulf Shores, Mobile, Alabama first, and then Gulf Shores, Alabama. And then from there we went
Vicksburg,
to
Mississippi, then to Dallas, then Dallas up to Illinois, Michigan, over to New York, and then from New York, cross country to Arizona.
And we made some stops along the way, like in Ohio.
Yeah.
And went,
Right.
when we were in New York, we were in Appleton, New York first, which we were very close to the Canadian border. So we did go to Canada and we got to see Niagara Falls. And so if you haven't seen all those videos, go back and take a look at them. We did capture some of our highlights and put them on video for you. And we are working diligently to get better at our videos. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, the editing, I actually enjoy it. It's a learning curve. And part of that too is like equipment. Like right now we're using a phone, and that's what we've had, you know, for a lot of these videos is the phone. We're still figuring out sound. So all that's a learning curve, and I actually enjoy it, but like I want a camera. Maybe Santa Claus might bring me one. You know, we can always upgrade and work on we're still figuring out the editing.
We get into a lot of Facebook groups, and when we do, so we've stayed a month in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and we've stayed 2 weeks in other places, Mobile. And so when we get to these areas where we might stay longer than a day, we do like to get into Facebook groups that are specific for that town. And so right now that we're in Yuma, I've gotten into several different Facebook groups that are Yuma related. So I get to see things like yesterday and today there's a hot air balloon festival, which we didn't make it to, but you know, we found stuff about trick-or-treating on Halloween via that group. And so one of my suggestions is if you're going to be somewhere for several days, or if you're headed somewhere, go ahead and join a group for that specific area so that you can start to hear about what's going on and how you can get involved. But in addition to the groups just for those cities and those areas, we've always been in some RV groups. And so we went back just now to a couple of our RV groups and we looked at some of the most asked questions. We thought we'd answer some of them right now so that we could provide our answer based on traveling now since July and specifically being here for about a month.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we started. Like, we started watching YouTube, really, and, you know, started picking up on what other people tips and pointers, and I mean that's really how you get started. You can't, but you figure out like what works and what's the same for one person, like maybe totally different. Like it's impossible. We see the question a lot in like some of these groups. Well, how much does it cost? And it's like that's impossible to answer. Like I mean, it depends on what you're doing. Like for us, like right now it's cheap because we're at this park. And it's super affordable. Like for long term, you know, we plan on staying here throughout the winter, and it's $375 a month, which is amazing. But we pay 20 cents per kilowatt hour for electric. But other than that, it's and it's a great park. Like it's very active. There's kids here. there's grown up, it's a good mix of people, but for right now it's inexpensive.
And another thing about this park, just real quick, we found it from one of the RV groups because we started doing some research back in July or August saying, where does everybody spend the winter? And a lot of people said, Florida, the Florida area, like Orlando, mid part of the state, I guess, because there's a lot of kids and of course there's a lot to do in Orlando. But once again, for us, we're not looking for somewhere where we're just going to go spend a ton of money and want to go to Disney World all the time. We're looking for something to really
be a part of the community.
Be a part of the community and be aware of what we're spending. And so,
but back to the cost. It's it's impossible. So we spent a ton of money from into September to 3 weeks ago to getting here. We were traveling, that's when we left Dallas. Went all the way up to and I'll get into that in a minute too. I want to stay on the cost point. We went up north, we went to Michigan, but there was a lot of travel, there's a lot of gas expenses. That helps me get to one point about using certain, we use open roads for our diesel. I highly recommend it because we save, I don't know what, 20, 30 cents.
Sometimes 40 and 50 cents
per gallon. So that's helpful. Get the open roads. Expenses, we still tried to, we used Boondockers Welcome a few times, which we highly recommend. We stayed at a Cracker Barrel. Our most expensive stay was in New York, obviously. We're at Liberty Harbor RV Park. But, you kind of have to pay for the convenience of that. But, we found affordable stops along the way. When we were in Michigan, we were able to park the rig at our friend's house for how many days, whatever. But so that saves some money, but we spent money by still traveling because even though our rig was parked, we still, made our trips up to the UP and all that stuff. But the biggest expense is, when you are on the go, is obviously gas, and wherever you're choosing to stay. So to answer that, how much do they cost? I don't know. We could sit down and track it better, but when you're moving, it's expensive. When you're stationary, we plan on being here for the winter, the park itself is cheap, but you still have expenses. We still gotta eat,
and we don't go out to eat. That's one thing that we don't do. We do cook most of our meals. The whole month we were in Gulf Shores, we went out to eat one time, and the whole month that we've been here so far, we have gone to Mexico twice and eaten in Mexico while we were there.
We save a ton of money by being on our program. Right. We still utilize the food that we eat through our health program, which saves us a bunch of money. But one learning curve that we had no clue about is all our water.
Don't break them.
That we have to buy.
Now they're cracked and we can't refill them.
I did that for entertainment value.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
So now, we didn't know the water here is not good. It's hard water. It's real salty and I don't know, slimy. Is that what you'd call
it?
Milky. And so we go, now we have enough of these things. Becky says I cracked them now, but we have 10 gallons worth of water jugs. We looked into getting a larger one, but it's going to take up too much space. So now we have these, but we go every 3 days now.
That's what I call
fill up water. I guess my point is, perfect segue to move on. What does it cost? I don't know. You won't know until you figure it out and start doing it yourself. There's certain things that can help you save money, like the open roads. We did pay, probably prematurely, we paid for Harvest Host, which we haven't used. We've used Boondockers Welcome, and they're kind of the same entity, which is confusing. Their app actually sucks, if I'm just being honest. But Boondockers Welcome, we found, is more kind of our speed. Because anyway, but there are things, but you're not gonna figure out how much it costs until you just get out there and start doing it.
And one of the things that we don't have a washer and dryer on our RV. There's only been one RV park we've stayed at that did not have laundry, and we were there for 2 weeks, and so we did have to go. That was when we were in Dallas at the Corps of Engineer, and we did have to go to a local laundromat, and it was a weird experience. It cost about $13 to wash and dry one load of laundry, and we had to be there for an hour and a half, and so it was not a good experience. But at all of the RV parks we've been at, for example, at this RV park, it's $1.50 to wash a load, and it's $1.75 to dry a load, so it's not expensive. We have gotten it down to where we do laundry once a week, and we do only do one load. So
avoid laundromats at all costs.
One other thing we do pay for is our internet provider, which is Starlink. A lot of the RV parks do provide internet, but what we have found is that the internet is very slow. For our work, we do a lot of Zoom meetings and a lot of streaming for TV purposes, and so editing for this, and so we have found that it's much easier for us to pay the $150 that Starlink costs, which is the mobile account. It's gone up a little bit.
It's $165.
$165. But for us, that's worth it. Even though we're here for several months, we do feel like we are glad we have it. But what we can do when we go back to Memphis for Christmas time, we're going to be there about 3 weeks. And so what we might do is pause our Starlink for that 3-week period, which means, I guess we'd probably pause it for a month, because that's how you'd save the $165. And we'd have a week of being here and use the RV internet, which would be okay to save that $165. But Starlink is definitely the way to go for there. Some other questions that we see often.
To that point, we can pause Starlink. Like, we have Hulu. You can pause the Hulu account. So that's ways to, save a little bit. Is make sure you pause those accounts and use, those features available to you.
Some other things that we saw, or that we see a lot come up on the RV sites, is it's safe. Like, people talk about keeping knives or guns or something by the bedside table. What if you don't know what kind of neighborhood your RV park is in? We have never felt not safe. Let me rephrase it. We have always felt safe so far. Like I said, getting to know your neighbors and the manager of the park and really knowing the surroundings of where you are helps a lot.
How can you not feel safe with me around? No, she's right. Like, I've never felt threatened or like we were in a bad area.
Yeah, so far.
We've always felt, comfortable. We're basically in the desert. And no, if you're wondering, there are not people just jumping over the border walls, infiltrating our country.
We're about 8 miles from the border.
San Luis Rio, Colorado.
That's the first. And then there's another one.
And that's one thing we've learned here too, is so we can go to Los Algodones. Did I say it right? And a lot of snowbirds come down here for the winter and take advantage of going across the border to get their teeth worked on, their dental work, because they have really cheap dental work, and you can save a ton of money.
Google it. Just Google Los Algodones for dental work, and you'll see it's about $25 for a teeth cleaning. It's about $180 to get a crown. I mean, it's ridiculous, and they are real dentists. They're certified. There's a lot of people that go there.
Certified?
Well, I mean, they're dentists. They're doctors. It's not like, don't think that it's some shady something. They are dentists. And Frank's going to make a trip while we're here.
So this is a bridge right here, because I knocked it out with baseball.
Anyway, let's get back on point. We feel safe here, and we... most of the RV parks we've been to, or let me rephrase that, some of the RV parks we've been to have a gate at the entrance, and so there is a gate attendant, and at nighttime it does close, and you do have to have a code to get in. Those are state parks, but like the Corps of Engineers had a gate, but if you didn't get there by 10, there was no attendant, so you couldn't get in. So get to know your RV park and get to know the surrounding area and get to know your neighbors. The other thing from some other RV groups that we've found are meetups. And so we are planning a meetup we're looking into a meetup that's in May.
You go ahead and do something about that.
It's a group of it's one of the kid RV groups that we're in for teenagers and children. And so they get together and they do a week-long meetup in Colorado, and the parents organize a prom for the kids. With these meetups, people organize the meetup and you pay a fee because they're getting supplies and they're reserving rooms and things like that. But we're planning on looking into this one for sure. And so if you'd like the information about it, if you're watching this and you're an RVer as well and you want that information, just put it in the comments that you'd like the information and we'll send it to you. But we've met some people through these RV sites that we've become friends with, that we share information with, and so it's beneficial to definitely get in some of these sites.
Yeah.
So I know one thing you wanted to mention was routing.
Well, yeah, there's a few questions. Like, you always get, like, what do you use to route you? I'll be honest, like, we use Google Maps for the most part. And then I'll refer to, I like RV Life because it allows you to put your specific rig in there for your dimensions, your height, all that good stuff. And it will, usually it's kind of the same as Google, but it will reroute you if there's, tunnels or something that, might be too low or anything like that. But for the most part, like, our experience, like, I was most worried about being in New York, like upstate New York, and heading to New York, and there was no issues at all. Like, it was a little tight getting to the Liberty Harbor, just like the roads and, cars parked everywhere in Jersey City, but, I mean, it was fine.
It's really just the other drivers.
The worst part, actually, was when we stayed with my friend in Aurora, Ohio, and somehow we left his house trying to go get gas. You remember that?
Yeah.
And we, it became this total nightmare. It took us like an hour to find the gas station, and we kept doing circles.
And it was the only time that the app has really, you could tell they had changed up the road a little bit for the exit off the interstate, but it didn't match up with the Google Map.
That was the worst.
That's the only time we've run into a problem.
And then one other time coming out here, we were trying to get to the Painted Desert, and it routed us to some dead end, to nothing, basically the desert, off the highway.
With a building that was painted.
And but we had to call the guy, and he was like, "No, y'all, whatever." We got off too early. But other than that, Google Maps, RV Life, any trucker apps, a lot of the apps that truckers use are going to be handy. But I wouldn't overthink it too much. Just kind of be aware of where you're headed. Are you going through tunnels? Are you going, if you're on main highways though, you're going to be fine. If you see other trucks on the highway, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. And, some people ask, how far do you drive each day?
I think, well, real quick, to that point, though, I would recommend, though, always, when you're trying to get gas, always try to find a truck stop gas station.
Be sure and tell
Even
them
if you see a
Large
gas
Marge
station that
sent
says they
ya.
have diesel, sometimes those can be a little sketchy because they're not, you got 50-something feet of total length, navigating just a regular gas station to get diesel is not fun. So
Sometimes
always use
the cover isn't high enough. And one time we pulled into one time because we were really out of gas and we were stuck on traffic. And so we were pulled over to the side in the parking lot waiting to get into the spot. And other cars don't know you're waiting to pull in, so they just zip in and get in front of you. So I had to get out of the car and tell somebody, wait, we're trying to pull in. So find a truck stop gas station. That's the benefit of that Open Roads account. Even if you don't necessarily use the account, if you can get the app, which I'm not sure if you can or not, but if you can get the app, it does show you where truck stop gas stations are, and it'll be a great thing for you. But how far do we drive? So originally Frank said, I don't want to drive more than 4 or 5 hours in a day. Well, that changed within our very first trip when we did go to Brunswick, Georgia, and we were dodging a hurricane, which is our middle name. That was the first time that we drove for longer than what Frank originally said he wanted to drive. Originally, when he said, I only want to drive for about 4 to 5 hours at a time, but that particular time we drove for like 7 or 8 because we were trying to get to our destination before the bad weather, to get out of the bad weather. And you said it wasn't so bad. You'd rather just go ahead and get there, even if we're setting
Yeah.
up in the dark, which we really don't like doing, but sometimes it's better to go that extra hour just to go ahead and get to your destination.
Yeah. Once you're rolling, like, it's just easy. Like, you just want to get it done. Like, I'd rather, if it means, like, to me, the difference between 6 and 8 hours is, I'm not going to stop after 6 hours and then have a 2-hour drive day. And if it means we have to, when we've never really set up much past dark, it's been like sunset and like, it's been getting dark, but it's not like we're showing up at like 10 o'clock at these places. And so to me, the drive days, I just want to get them over with because it's not like they're that stressful, but you just want it to be done and just kind of, I don't know.
But you do want to plan your trips out so that maybe you are only planning 4 or 5 hours because that'll turn into 6 or 7. So you want to not ever plan for an 8-hour drive day because that'll be a little bit longer. So definitely planning a 4 to 5, maybe 6 at the most hour driving time because it'll always be an additional time. You got to stop.
We use the 55 rule. So if you take your mileage, your total mileage for your trip, and then divide it by 55, it usually gives you a pretty accurate drive time. So we found that to be pretty accurate. Somebody shared that with us, but
you're going to stop and you're going to have to go to the bathroom.
So if you have 200 miles, it's going to be about 4 hours. Always try to keep it under 70. There's no rush. Like what's it going to matter if I go 75? Nothing. Like, so always try to keep it under 70. Safety first. Safety is key. You want to be safe out there on the road, and there's no rush. I think that's where mistakes happen, is when you get in a rush. And so a long drive day isn't so bad, especially when you have just amazing conversation and good music helps.
Good music.
Good podcasts help.
Or Audible books on Audible. We like to listen to books. We do a lot of our work while we're driving in the car too. We can call and talk to a lot of clients and potential clients and really get, sometimes Jennings does her schoolwork. She just has to have a laptop so we can log in and do a little bit of school too while we're driving. But it was fun driving all those days, and now we've been here for about a month, so we haven't driven in a while.
Get to where you kind of miss it, honestly. Like, it is nice to be settled down, but you kind of get in that groove of moving, and it's kind of fun, because you're always going to a new destination that you've never been to before. And so now that we've been here for a few weeks, it is nice, but I don't know, I kind of got the itch.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a while if you're wanting to stay here all winter.
But we are going to do our little side trips, and, we're going to head up, visit some friends for Thanksgiving, and do a cool little trip. Apart from that, and, we are a couple hours from just some cool locations here, being in the Southwest. So anyway, the funny question that a lot of people ask on a lot of these Facebook groups is like, can I put toilet paper down the toilet? Like,
or regular toilet paper.
Oh my goodness, like, it's a freaking toilet. Yes, you can. The main thing is, like, don't leave your black tank open to where it's constantly draining. Let the stuff build up in there. Flush, when you flush, like, let a little extra water, flow in there, but keep it full. You don't ever want it to dry out. That's when the toilet paper can build up and you can have the pyramid. So keep it, I don't drain our black tank every single day or anything like that. And we use thick toilet paper. That's one of
regular toilet paper.
Like, there's things in life that you can't skimp on, and it's like toilet paper and
paper towels.
You know, like, but just be smart about it.
The good coffee. You got to get the good coffee.
Like, so yeah, we don't use RV toilet paper.
I think that's just a hoax to make you buy the RV toilet paper from the RV places, like that one that rips you off. What's it called?
We're on Bash Camping World?
Yeah, Camping World. Even Walmart sells, they have an RV section at Walmart, and they even have toilet paper, and it's like 4 rolls for like, I don't know, $8.
Sometimes she occasionally gets it for whatever reason. I don't know.
The cheap toilet paper?
Yeah.
Yeah, to have to like blow my nose, or I don't know. I don't
even want to blow my nose with that. But like, who wants to sit there and be wiping their finger poked through?
Okay, that's a little gross. Please don't have that in here.
Why?
Because.
Well, it's true.
Well, how do you wipe?
Well, I mean, you're gonna go into like examples, but no, like, so I would say too, I guess a lot of people that have younger kids, that might be a bit of an issue, because, you know, you kind of have to, I guess, monitor it.
But you don't want to flush like those flushable wipes probably down your RV toilet. So there are some things you do change. Like, for example, when we wash dishes, which we do wash dishes, some RVs have a dishwasher, like some have a washer and dryer. Ours has neither. I'm the dishwasher. Whatever. Or sometimes Frank washes dishes. But you have to be real careful because we don't have a disposal, so you don't need food particles getting down. So we do, after dinner, we scrape our plate in the trash can so that there's not any food particle in the sink before we wash our dishes. And so it is a little process. It's a lot of getting used to, but so far so good. And we wanted to share some of these things with you so that if you're watching this and you're thinking about RVing, or maybe you do RV or camp on the weekends, or if you just wanted to know what it's like day in the life of the full-time RVers, we just wanted to share a few of the things that we've learned so far.
Yeah. The most important thing is, like, how are you going to learn? You're just going to get out there and do it and have fun doing it. And yeah, I mean, stuff's going to happen, but you're going to figure it out. And that's what YouTube is a great resource. Facebook, these groups. Even though a lot of people on Facebook are smart asses and whatever, I kind of throw in a little, you know, shade too. But like, everybody for the most part is here to help. And it's just get out there and do it and figure it out and quit. Like, the more you analyze, like, you hear paralysis by analysis, like, the more you sit around thinking about, oh, what about this, what about that, like, dude, just go and figure it out. Like, you're gonna be okay.
And if you have any questions, if you're full-time RVing or thinking about it, or just want to ask us a question, put it in the comments. We love to have comments, and we haven't had very many, so comment. Make a comment or a question so that we can answer it. And I think that's all we've got.
Get out there and get started, and subscribe, like, comment right here, wherever. All right, I'll stay safe. Peace.